Hey everyone, it's Krista Dunk, and this is going to be a great, fun time today. I'm excited about this. We have a fun guest. I'm from 100X Publishing and the Author Acceleration Academy, and I have the privilege today of interviewing Bob Burg, who is, he's a famous author that we all need to hear from. He's got some amazing advice, and not only are we going to talk some about his books, we're going to talk some about his author experience today. And Bob, how long have you been an author? When did you write your very first book?
I think my first one was published in 1994. So I'm a little long in the tooth, as they say.
Which just means you have a lot of wisdom and experience.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a lot of gray hair.
Which
is often confused with wisdom.
It can be, I suppose so. That's true. That's very, very true. But I guess for those who don't know you yet, I would love to do just a little bit of background, do a little bit of bio. And so here we go. Bob Burg shares how a subtle shift in focus is not only a more uplifting and fulfilling way of conducting business, but the most financially profitable way as well. For 30 years, Bob has helped companies, sales leaders, and their teams to more effectively communicate their value, sell at higher prices with less resistance, and grow their businesses based on endless referrals. Bob has regularly addressed audiences, large and small, sharing the platform with many notable people, including Olympic athletes and even a former president. So for years, Bob was best known for his book called Endless Referrals. It's his business parable. The GoGiver that he co-authored with John David Mann captured the imagination of his readers. The GoGiver is a Wall Street Journal and Business Week bestseller, has sold over 1 million copies, was released in 2007, I believe. And since its release, it has consistently stayed in the top 25 on Porchlight's business book bestsellers list and has been translated into 30 languages. So just so you know, Bob has some experience as an author, selling over 1 million copies of just that book alone. Not to mention now that GoGiver has become a series you have 4 books in that series. Is that correct, Bob?
Yeah, the GoGiver has 4 books in it.
Great. And all 4 of them, you and John David Mann co-authored those together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he actually has another one coming out next year with his wife Anna, which is going to be called the GoGiver Marriage. But that is theirs, not mine. And I got a chance to read the manuscript, and it's really, really good. They have a great marriage themselves, and I think they've done a great job sharing the principles of how anyone else can have the same.
That's kind of genius. I feel like now I'll ask you a question, I think, about the premise of the GoGiver book in just a second, but just taking what you've done, a successful book project, turning it into a series. And I feel like there could be, now he's going to write the marriage one, and you have the sales one, and the leaders and the influencers. And you could just write 25 of these probably to very specific audiences.
Yeah. We could. I mean, it's set up that it could do that. We won't, only because we're both folks. John, who co-authors books with a number of people. In fact, he and Brandon Webb, a former Navy SEAL, and they've written about 6 books together on leadership and other aspects of success. They just came out with an actual mystery thriller called Steel Fear, which takes place on a Navy warship. And so, it's a fantastic book. And so because of that, John is busy with so many things, so many writing projects. So it's probably, I would say that's the last one. Probably we might actually do one for kids, and the GoGiver Teenager or something, but that would be a while off. But I think after that would probably be it. But sure, I mean, you could take the brand and go as niched as you want to, which is a great idea for for people who want to do that.
I would agree. I would agree. If that original book was something that people really, really enjoyed, then why not? And probably as you're speaking, you've talked to different audiences and kind of niched it down to that community and whoever those people are. So I can see the genius in making a book to those niche groups as well.
Yeah, I mean, people have done it. Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth, famous book on systemizing one's business, working in your business, working on your business instead of just in your business. And he's taken it to all sorts of niches. You've got, of course, the Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Oh boy.
Which I think is all told sold like 500 million copies or something.
Yeah.
After being turned down by about 150 publishers.
Right.
So, they've certainly niched in, Chicken Soup for the blank soul, Chicken Soup for this soul, Chicken Soup for that soul. So I think there are certain titles that allow for that to happen.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. And so your books pretty much have stayed in the business, entrepreneurship, leadership genres thus far, which I know that people in those communities most likely at this point, if they've been in those communities for any length of time, have heard of the GoGiver. But just in case, would you kind of talk about the GoGiver and the premise of that book? Just help people understand a little bit more about what you want somebody to walk away with when they're done reading that.
Sure. So the series itself, co-authored with John David Mann, who again is really the lead writer. He's the storyteller. I'm much more of a how-to guy. I'm step one, step two, step three. I'm kind of boring, in other words. John's a great storyteller. So 3 of the 4 books are parables. So they're fictional stories. One of them is a more of a how-to or application guide. So the basic premise is simply that shifting your focus from getting to giving. And when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others, understanding that doing so is not only a more fulfilling way of conducting business, it's actually the most financially profitable way as well. And not for some woo-woo way out there, magical, mystical type of reasons. Not at all. It's actually very rational, very, very logical. When you think about it, when you're that person who can take your focus off of yourself and place it on helping others, discovering what they need, what they want, what they desire, when you can focus on helping them solve or overcome their challenges and problems, when you can focus on helping move them closer to happiness, well, people feel good about you. People want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you. They want to be in relationship with you. They want to do business with you if that's appropriate for what they need. But they definitely want to tell others about you. Right? They want to spread the word about you. They want to be your personal walking ambassador. So that's really what the premise is about. And then in each book, there are 5 either laws or secrets or principles, what have you, that kind of share how to get to that point, depending upon the theme.
Well, that sounds like a logical, heart-driven way of doing business. I mean, I think, we can all kind of feel the sketchy salesy stuff, and it doesn't feel real good. But when you're with someone who just wants to, like, hey, how can I help you? What do you need? And it's more of that feeling that feels good. That really does feel good.
Yeah. Well, you think about it, the Old English root of the word sell was selan, which meant to give. So when you're selling, you're literally giving. Now, someone might say, well, wait a second, isn't that just, wordplay, right? Isn't that just semantics? And, I don't think it is in this case. And the reason why is because if you are the presenter, right, and you have a prospective customer or client in front of you, you're in the selling process. Well, what exactly are you giving them? I suggest you're giving them time, attention, counsel, education, empathy, and mostly exceptional value. So when you think about sales as that, okay, now you approach it from a totally different viewpoint.
Right. It's like something Oops, I'm having a problem with my camera here. Sorry, it keeps switching off. I'm
That's
I'm
okay.
still here. This happens every so. I had to restart my computer, and sometimes it like the next few Zooms I do, it cuts me out. I don't know what's going on.
That's
Okay,
okay. That happens.
so I'm still here. Um,
No sweat.
but yeah, I think that when we're selling, if it's something someone wants and needs, we are helping. We
That's
are helping.
exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so since we have a group of authors, unaspiring authors that are watching,
Okay.
you talk about in the GoGiver, you talking about influence.
Mhm.
I think this is something very applicable to authors. And so, how does a go-giver create influence, both personally and in business? And think about the author community and the influence that we're trying to create. So, what are your thoughts on
Sure.
that?
Well, when you think about it, you ask the question. So what is influence, right? I mean, let's take it from there. On a very basic level, we can define influence as simply the ability to move a person or persons to a desired action, usually
Mm,
within the context of a specific goal. Okay,
yeah,
so that might be wanting someone to buy your book, right? Moving someone to buy your book, or to buy a product or service, or to go to see a certain movie or eat at a certain restaurant. Okay, that's what influence is: the ability to move a person to an action. Now, that's the definition, but that's not the essence of influence. The essence of influence is pull, pull as opposed to push, as in the old question, how far can you push a rope? And the answer is not very far, at least not very fast or very effectively, which is why great influencers don't push. They don't push their will on others. They don't push their ideas on others. They don't push themselves on others. They're not push E, right? I mean, you
yeah,
never hear people say, wow, that David or that Mary, she is so influential. She has a lot of push with people. No, she's influential. She has a lot of pull
pull.
with people. And that's what influence really is. It's pull, it's an attraction. Great influencers attract people first to themselves and then to their ideas. And they do this again through pull. Now, how does that pull manifest itself? How does it take place? How does it happen? Well, the great influencer, what John and I call the genuine influencer in our book, The Go-Giver Influencer, um, what they do, that first they understand on a both an intellectual and on a heart level what I believe was Dale Carnegie's underlying premise in his classic How to Win Friends and Influence People. And this is where he said, ultimately, people do things for their reasons, not our reasons. Now, this is very
True.
important. This is an absolutely important element of human nature for us to understand. Okay. People do things ultimately for their reasons, not for our reasons. So the genuine influencer asks themselves questions to make sure their focus is correct. Now, I think we need to be internally motivated, but outwardly focused. Great influence is always about the other person. So the genuine influencer asks themselves questions such as, well, how does what I want this other person to do, how does it align with their goals, with their wants, with their needs, with their desires? How does it align with their values? How does what I'm asking this other person to do, how does it solve their problems and challenges? How does it get them closer to where they want to be? And I think that when we ask ourselves these questions thoughtfully, intelligently, um, genuinely, authentically, not as a way to manipulate another human being into doing our will, but as a way of building everyone in the process. Now we've come a lot closer to earning that person's commitment as opposed to trying to depend on some type of compliance, which is that kind of push, that top down kind of, right, the manipulation or it just the yucky kind of right? That yeah, and I love what one of my great friends and mentors, her name is Dondi Scumaci, one of the wisest people I know, and
Gandhi.
she speaks all over the world to leadership teams and to huge and I love what she says about this. She says when it comes to leadership, when it comes to influence, she says compliance will never take you where commitment can go. So if you want to be a, you know, a very successful, genuine influencer, okay, you've got to make it about the other person. Other people need to commit to your idea. They're not going to comply with it, not for very long. Okay.
Yeah.
So they need to commit. And the only way you can do that is by focusing on what's in their best interest.
Yeah. I like how you said kind of the push is more manipulative, but the
Push is, yeah,
pull,
it's compliance, it's manipulative, it's force, it's you know, that kind of do what
overlording.
I say because that positional authority, do what I say because I told you to do it and you'll get fired if you don't, or you know, so it can be anything. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I wrote down something you said too. You're kind of drawing people first to yourself,
To yourself.
and then
Hmm.
to your ideas, and then to the
Exactly.
solution, or then to the
Hmm.
process, or whatever that looks like.
Because you know why? Because um I guess you could say ideas don't really influence, people influence. Right? The idea is simply part of the person. Now, yeah, I mean, you can also say ideas influence, of course they do, because without a good idea it's still not gonna happen. Okay, but I guess it's better to say words don't persuade, people persuade. So it's the
Yeah,
person that when the person gets the buy-in, that's when they can influence.
that's
Before
true.
then, very difficult.
Because the people, we're the ones who are wielding the ideas, we're wielding the words, we're
Exactly.
wielding the direction, or whatever that is. So yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense to me. Very much so. So, okay, now I got a question for you about your book series. Kind of talk to me about the thought process about having the GoGiver, came out 2007, and then deciding to do a series, because this is something, whether you're writing fiction, nonfiction, many authors, just write one book, call it good. But then again, there's another segment that's like, hey, this is catching on. I should write more. So talk to me about the process of deciding to write a series.
So yeah, we didn't actually decide to. We were just writing that one book
Hmm.
together. That was, it was just a project we wanted to do, and that was going to be it. But it took off, and when it did, the publisher just said, "Why don't you guys write a follow up to it?" And a lot of people had asked, for specific how tos in terms of the book. So the second book that we wrote, which was Go Givers Sell More, was really what we call an application guide, because what we did is we took the 5 laws from the story, from the Go Giver. And, in a parable, you can only go so deep by the very nature of a parable. It's a short story, right?
Yeah.
So we went deep into the 5 laws, and then each of the laws. And then what we did is we shared success stories, both from people who had actually read the book and utilized them and had these magnificent successes, but also from people who ran their lives and conducted their business this way long before they ever heard of the Go-Giver. So it was really a book in which we could go into detail with the 5 laws and provide all these great examples that people could then take and apply to their own businesses. That one sold very well also. And then we were asked to write 2 more.
And I like what you said. Something I think that's really key there was, after the first book came out, people were asking you,
Yeah.
gee, do you have some more specific concrete steps, process,
Right.
how-tos? And the fact that you're like, should
Yeah.
probably take a look at that, and give this audience in this market what would help them next.
Yeah. And then so the Go-Giver was really written for the entrepreneur / salesperson. A lot of people also asked, well, how does a leader, and a lot of companies, by the way, used it as a leadership book, but there was that more specific how does a leader use the Go-Giver principles? And that's when we wrote the Go-Giver Leader. And then after that, the Go-Giver Influencer. So a couple stories about a mistake that we made and how it eventually got corrected, but a definite mistake, which I think teaches a good lesson. So when we first wrote the Go-Giver Leader, we had not actually called it the Go-Giver Leader. We had called it, the initial name of the book was It's Not About You. And the reason why was because it, was all about the focus being on the other person, right? And we figured, well, the people will get that. If they've read the Go-Giver, they'll get the reference and stuff. They didn't get the reference, or at least we didn't put it out there in the right way. And the book just did not sell. I mean, people stayed away from it in droves.
Wow.
And and we couldn't figure out, because we knew it was a really good story. I mean, John's such a great writer. Anything he writes is going to be a good story. So why didn't it sell? And we knew it had something to do with the title, obviously. And after a couple of years, I was in a conversation with someone, with a guy by the name of Tom Ziegler, who you may or may not know of. He's the son of Zig Ziglar, and Tom is sort of, with his sisters, has taken over his dad's legacy and done a wonderful job. But we were talking about the book, and I said, Tom, it's really funny. I said, I've just never been able to put my finger on why It's Not About You. It just has not sold well. And he said, well, Bob, he goes, if you think about the title, he said, you can't really, if the book's not about me, why would I want to get it? And he was joking, but it was like it was like genius. Of course, that's right.
Yeah.
Plus remember that the Go-Giver itself, one of the big reasons why it sold so well is because people gave it to people as gifts, right? Well, you can give a book called The Go-Giver as a gift. It's a compliment, but imagine receiving a book and the title is It's Not About You. What's this person trying to tell me? It's like giving somebody a bottle of Scope mouthwash or, Listerine as a gift. It's not. So we went to the publisher and asked them to do something that publishers never do. And that is could we change the title? And we have the best publisher. I mean, they're wonderful. Portfolio, a division of Business Imprint of Penguin Random House. And they've just been great. And so they said, yeah. So we said, let's call it the Go-Giver Leader. And we actually changed a little bit of the ending and a couple of things throughout, and it's sold very well, And then so it was the title. Say, well, I can't judge a book by its cover, but that's exactly what we do. So
We do.
Title is very important.
That's true. And also too, you're by naming it, the Go-Giver Leader.
It was more in tune with the brand, of course. Yeah, that was just not sure.
Live and learn. Live and learn.
Yeah, that was a mistake that didn't need to be made, but it was. We learned from it.
But it got corrected. So all is well. All is well. And then your most recent one then is the Go-Giver Influencer, number 4 in that series. So that's
fantastic. A book about people skills. So
people skills. Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, one more question for you, Bob. I know you have a limited time window here. So what are some of your best strategies as an author that have helped you to continue to get sales? I mean, right, 2007, that was 14 years ago, yet that book is still selling. The series is doing well. What would you say to authors that are like, I'm not sure what to do to continue to get sales? What has worked for you?
Well, first, and I think this is the most important thing, is ask John David Mann to write the book with you. Unfortunately, he's pretty busy now. I'm lucky to get to talk to him, But no. So aside from having a good book, because remember, a good book itself isn't going to do it. There's many good books, hundreds of copies of which are in the author's garage. So it's not just but it's got to be a good book, because if it's not a good book, you can have the best marketing in the world. The book's not going to have legs. It's just not gonna. So we start out with it being a good book. Okay. Title is very important, I believe, and a good subtitle. Okay. Now, I believe let's say you have all those working for you. Now I think it's decide what you're going to do in promoting the book that's within your strength zone and what you enjoy doing, and be willing to do that constantly, nonstop, forever and ever.
Forever.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, if you want it to keep going, you don't stop with it. And, and it is, you know this because you teach it. There's people who write a book and think, well, once the book's through, written, that's okay. Now the tough part's been done, right? Now the easy part, wait for other people to promote it for me. It isn't going to happen. You're going to, I mean, if you're Stephen King or, somebody like that, okay, sure. But we're not. And so,
Yeah.
so, so we have to promote our own books, and that's okay. And take the responsibility of doing that. Learn all you can about book promotion. You these days it's easier than ever in terms of putting out videos and blogs and getting on podcasts and having a podcast and posting on LinkedIn and getting everywhere you can, going out there to speak, whatever, trying to do cross promotions with other companies who might have a reason to market your book along with what they're doing. I mean, there's all sorts. People like John Kremer, who wrote 1001 Ways to Market Your Book. He's got 1001 ways, right, to do it. Now, you're not going to use all of them, but what if you use 5 of them and you do it consistently, right? And you try different things and you see what takes and what doesn't, because not everything's gonna, but some are. And you just keep promoting it. I think consistency is probably the most, assuming you're doing the right things, consistency is the most important. If you're doing it wrong, then consistency doesn't help at all. But aside, you got, assuming you got the first part right, I think you got to just stay consistent and realize it's going to take a long time. Should you try to get on some of the biggies like Ellen and all that? Sure, go for it, but it's probably not going to happen. Okay, they're going to hear about your book if you're going to get on. That's how you're going to get on there. Go for the singles and the doubles. Just get on every small podcast, every major every minor podcast, wherever you can. Get on blogs, get on as a guest or as an interview, or all the different things that you can do to get yourself out there. Do it strategically, do it consistently, and if it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah, thank you for that. I agree very much so. And that's kind of what I've told people too, is like, people who keep selling are the ones who continue to talk about it consistently in whatever ways are working for them. So yeah, and if we wrap it around back to the GoGiver, I think some people think I can write a book, but I don't know if I can market it. I feel bad like talking about it and promoting my own stuff and all these things. But if you know that your book is going to help people, if you know that it has solutions, and why would you not tell people about it, right? So
yeah, and the thing too is that let's say you do an interview. It's not like you're going to go on there and just be saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy. No, you're going to be given great value. You're going to focus on the audience. You give the value to the audience, and some of them are going to want to buy your book.
Yeah.
Not everyone's gonna, because that's life, but enough people are, and it's going to catch on. It's going to catch on, and they'll tell people about it. You continue to promote, get word of mouth, and speak on it, and do this, and have this out there, and you do all those things, but focus on providing value to others, and the sales are going to come.
Again, it wraps back around to adding value. Yep. Yeah. I agree.
Start from there.
Well, I know we should wrap up our time here because you got to go do all your famous author activities. And so where if somebody like, okay, I want to buy Bob's book, or I want to learn more about it, where would you send them online to go check out your books?
Yeah, best place is just burg.com, BURG.com. Another sign of my age, right? That I was able to get burg.com. Back in the old days, before the internet had actually,
Before millions and millions of people are buying domain names, you got burg.com.
Burg.com.
That's fantastic. Simple to remember, easy to spell, BURG.com. So yeah, check out Bob's books there. And I hope you've enjoyed this interview. I have enjoyed having you on, Bob, so very much. Thank you so much for taking the time, truly.
Appreciate you most greatly. Thank you. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. I will certainly try. Try not, whatever, Yoda. Anyway, yes, working with authors, 100X Publishing and the Author Acceleration Academy. If you are an author who could use some support, training, more information, planning on doing some self-publishing, or just want to know more about the publishing process and writing books, let me know. We're here for you. And visit burg.com to learn more about Bob Burg's amazing best-selling books that I know will be a blessing to you. So thanks again, Bob. Have a great rest of your week. I love that you were here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful week. This is Krista Dunk and Bob Burg. See you soon. Bye.